Firefighters in Aurora are still putting out the hotspots after a massive fire at an apartment building under construction now 3 days after it started. Colfax and Peoria are still closed near the CU and Shoots campus, and power is shut off for that block to keep firefighters safe. The road closures are a headache for drivers and for businesses in that area as well. Felix Corchado owns the Premier Group Insurance office a block away from that under construction apartment building that caught fire on Saturday. He says the smoke has been really bad.
It's rough. I mean, we've been working inside the office and it just keep coughing all day long. It's pretty bad.
Aurora Fire says they may have to bring in heavy-duty equipment to knock down some of the walls so they can get a better reach of those hot spots. An investigation is underway, but much of that will have to wait until this fire is out for good.
Police in Boulder say officers shot and killed a woman who pointed a replica gun at someone leaving a rec center. This shooting happened Sunday afternoon, but police would not share any details about it until yesterday. Police say it started around 4 o'clock in the afternoon with a 911 call from the North Boulder Rec Center. A man said a woman pointed a gun at him as he was driving out. Police say when officers arrived on scene, they found the woman near the rec center and they tried to stop her. She walked away and officers followed. Police say they tried to use less lethal attempts to stop her, and she pulled what looked like a gun from her bag. Police say the officers spent 15 minutes trying to get her to put the gun down. Then they fired. They say they realized after that gun was fake.
The fact that it's a replica firearm, to me, just makes this all the more tragic. Knowing and understanding what the officers saw and observed, that still remains to be determined. That's going to be part of the investigation.
It's still not clear if the woman pointed that fake gun at officers or what those less lethal attempts to stop her were. The 2 officers who fired are on administrative leave while the DA is investigating the shooting.
This morning, we have more details about the demolition plan for the Penrose funeral home about 30 miles west of Pueblo, where nearly 200 bodies were found improperly stored. The EPA says the work is expected to begin on January 17th. They expected the demolition will last about 10 days. If the weather cooperates, excavators will break up the building from the top down and remove large pieces of the structure. During the process, contractors will spray disinfectant and odor suppressant into the building. Once the building and concrete foundation have been removed, the EPA says that they will also scrape some of the soil for disposal.
I saw one of the officers pick Mr. McLean up and just body slam him hard into the ground.
Stand this week defending their actions surrounding the death of Elijah McLean.
They say what Aurora police did that night in 2019 prevented them from doing their jobs. Alexander Lewis has more from the trial.
Hour after hour after hour, Aurora paramedics Peter Chikuniak and Jeremy Cooper described the night they met Elijah McLean in police custody.
They kept telling him to stop resisting, stop it, don't do that. Struggling. It seemed like the officers were just struggling more than I've seen them struggle before on other calls.
The paramedics are now facing reckless manslaughter charges for dosing the 23-year-old with ketamine after police threw McLean to the ground.
He was very sweaty. He was breathing very fast. I couldn't hear any clear language from him. He just seemed a little disoriented to me.
Chikuniak testified paramedics training requires the administration of ketamine to treat Elijah's symptoms and behavior.
Once they come out of handcuffs, then they're our patient. Until then, APD, it is their scene. It is they're in control.
Control, a big theme of the day and one that would be challenged during cross-examination.
Are you telling me that you don't think you could make medical judgments for Mr. McLean right there?
I was making medical assessments and trying to get a game plan. Yes, sir.
Chikuniak and Cooper say police kept them from their patient, but prosecutors point out their lack of contest.
You didn't say to the police officers, don't slam my patient like that.
I did not use that verbiage, no, sir.
In fact, you didn't tell the police officers to stop any of their behavior.
I guess with me saying, let's leave him there was my way of trying to de-escalate that behavior.
Both had to acknowledge they never took McLean's pulse or tried to ask him about the medical issues he was experiencing.
The medical history potential allergies or other medications are unknown because nobody ever tried to ask Mr. McLean about those things.
Correct.
Nobody asked him a single question, right?
Yes.
The jury returns this morning, and it's possible the defense could rest and the prosecution has the opportunity to call rebuttal witnesses. If they elect not to, the third and final trial in the death of Elijah McClain could be coming to an end. 2 officers were previously acquitted, and 1 was found guilty of criminally negligent homicide.
New this morning, we now know President Joe Biden's son Hunter will be arraigned on federal tax charges next month. It is set for January 11th. He's facing 9 tax-related charges in Los Angeles. 3 of them are felonies. Now, if he's convicted, he could face up to 17 years in prison. A new report shows China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba all tried to meddle in the 2022 U.S. midterm elections. That's according to a declassified intelligence assessment. The report says that there were more foreign efforts to target elections last year compared to the 2018 midterms. According to the report, China tried to influence both political parties. Russia targeted the Democratic Party before the midterms. Iran tried to undermine confidence in democracy, and Cuba tried to undermine specific candidates. The report did not go into whether there was any actual impact on the outcome of the elections. This morning, U.S. officials are pushing for another pause in fighting in Israel, though negotiations to release the remaining hostages appears to be at a standstill. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is visiting Bahrain and Qatar today after meeting his Israeli counterpart in Tel Aviv yesterday. He delivered a message to Israeli military leaders to protect civilians while also stressing Israel has a right to defend itself. Now, the Biden administration is turning up the pressure on Israel to negotiate a new ceasefire to release the remaining hostages and allow the flow of aid into Gaza.
Beyond desperate. They've been told by the IDF that they need to evacuate. It's unclear why. These are Christians seeking sanctuary in a church the week before Christmas, having been there for more than 60 days.
This comes at the same time lawmakers on Capitol Hill are still trying to hammer out a deal to send additional aid to Israel and Ukraine. Republicans want tougher immigration policies in exchange. That deal appears unlikely before the new year. Pope Francis will allow Catholic priests to bless same-sex couples. While it's a radical shift in policy, the Vatican is maintaining its strict ban on gay marriage. The blessing may be carried out as long as it doesn't take place at the same time as civil union. Some LGBTQ activists say new policies just underscores the church's beliefs that gay couples are inferior to the same-sex couples. A man from Houston who traveled here to Denver to attend a Nuggets game says he experienced racial profiling while he was at the game.
My man being racist because I bought these tickets and he gonna tell the security to come and check my ticket.
Yeah, so you're seeing Andre Benson. He posted that video on his Instagram December 8th when the Nuggets hosted the Houston Rockets. It has gone viral, racking up hundreds of thousands of views. Benson says a man with a Kroenke Sports and Entertainment badge asked to check the tickets for his front row seats during the second quarter of the game. Andre complied, insisting they were his seats. Ball Arena security eventually concluded those tickets were correct, but Benson felt he and his date were singled out in the process.
My thing was to him, I said, you're not going to check everybody else's tickets? And he didn't. In that moment, I was like, oh no, you just profiled me in Ball Arena in Denver. And it was embarrassing. It was like, nobody should ever experience this.
Benson says Kroenke Sports and Entertainment reached out to him and offered him a refund. He says the incident is bigger than a refund, but he has a meeting with Kroenke officials tomorrow. We reached out to Kroenke for a statement, but we haven't heard back just yet.
Well, one thing to know about the weather today, record warmth, quite likely. In fact, we'll be right near our daily record of 67 for today. If we break up those clouds early enough, we'll get there. But for today, a very nice and warm day with highs in the mid-60s for us, about 20 degrees above our seasonal average. But we've got snow in the forecast for this weekend. I'll have details on that coming up in my full forecast in a few minutes.
Taking a live look right now at Ball Arena. The Avs are heading on a road trip tonight. They are taking the Blackhawks in Chicago. The Blackhawks are in last place in Central Division. The Avs are in second. Puck drop is at 6:30.